Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Alex. Welcome to another episode of the Long 2 NBA podcast. I believe this is episode number 36. Today I'm with Seth.
Hello.
My co-host. Yeah, Nathan couldn't make it today. He's got work, so just us. A couple announcements before we start. Thank you guys for over 3,800 subscribers. We're going to hit 4,000 pretty soon.
Yeah, we're getting them quick.
Yeah,
it's starting to pick
fast.
up.
Yeah, for sure. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter at @theAlexNBA. I'm trying to get some guest speakers to be on the podcast to talk with us, just to get on Skype and have call in and talk with us about everything, or just a segment. It depends on what you'd want to do, but be sure to follow me and send me a DM if you're interested in that, because I'm trying to find somebody to get on here. Funny story, actually. I feel like I should share this.
No, yeah.
A dude who's a scout for the Wizards, I guess, or had been a scout for the Wizards and has worked for the Raptors and stuff.
He had a lot of different credentials.
Yeah, followed me on Twitter, and he was
followed by what was
Zach
it?
Lowe and somebody else too. But anyways, so he DMs me and is like, "Hey Alex, how are you doing?" I told him I was doing well, and he said, "If you ever need a guest speaker, or you ever want a guest on your podcast, let me know." Naturally, one would assume that he had listened to my podcast before, right?
Yeah.
Because he was like, "Let me know if you ever want a guest on there." I was like, "Okay, that's cool." So I looked into it. A couple days later, I DM'd him. I was like, "What days are you available? Would you want to be on for the whole time, or just a certain segment of it, or anything you'd be willing to do? I'd appreciate your time." And he responds with, "Is your podcast on iTunes? Can you send me a link to it?" Like, that is clown behavior right there.
Clown. That's like someone being like, "Oh, that's my favorite artist," and they'll be like, "Oh, what's your favorite song from the album?" You just got caught.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's like, "Oh, I love that band. Can you name 5 songs?"
Right.
Or something like that.
It's that, but actually real.
Exactly. Like, if you're gonna do that, I would assume you listen to it. So I responded. I was like, "It's not on iTunes. It's on YouTube. I thought you would have listened to it already, but here's a link."
Right.
And then he just didn't respond, and I didn't care at that point because
I'm kind of glad we left it off like that you're willing to talk about it.
Yeah, I just soft blocked him, meaning I blocked him then unblocked him, so that way it made us unfollow each other without him actually unfollowing me.
I didn't even know you could do that.
I'm a social media whiz. Okay.
Okay.
So
he's an actual wizard.
So I did that. And I just deleted the conversation because at this point I don't care, because to me that's clown behavior.
It's very much clown behavior.
Okay, I'm glad we're on the same page.
We will clown you to death if you do any BS like that.
Right, exactly. So
we love people on the we want fans.
Exactly.
We don't want someone who's like, "Oh, there's a number. I want to be on there."
Right, exactly.
That's just soft move.
So if you've actually are a listener, and I know we have some. Good few. Just shoot me a DM on Twitter if you want to be on an episode, and we'll discuss details then. But that's it for their announcements. We got some good stuff to talk about today. I'm actually excited for this stuff. So let's just go over the injuries and some signings real quick before we get to the good stuff. So Nikola Mirotic is out 2 to 4 weeks with the left thumb fracture. Again, another injury for the Bucks. That's not good.
Right.
The injury bug hit them at the worst time with Brogdon, Pau Gasol, and now Nikola Mirotic.
Right. It's not.
Or I guess it was Nikola Mirotic and now Pau Gasol. But I guess Gasol is going to be back for the playoffs, but he's not going to play too much anyways.
Right.
Mirotic should be back in time for the first round. What I'm worried about is Brogdon not returning for the second round, because if he's not back for the second round, I don't think they're going to get to the Eastern Conference Finals.
You think he's that important of a piece? I
definitely think so. What do you think?
I mean, I could see the argument there that Giannis doesn't, he's not carrying by any means.
Right,
the whole
he's
team
got
is
a very
very
good
solid,
team.
and
Exactly.
they work with him. It's built around him, but at the same
he's got players that complement him very well and excel.
And I've seen the chemistry that Brogdon and Giannis have with each other and with the rest of the team. He is an important piece.
Exactly.
No doubt. I'm not doubting how important he is to the team.
And he's such a high IQ player and efficient scorer that nobody can really replicate that on their bench.
Right.
So that's why I think he's so important, because he gives you good amount of points and defense and
high basketball
and
IQ,
everything, like intangibles, all that stuff. Like, he's clutch too. We've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And without that, that's a big piece that I think is going to end up costing them a finals appearance or a championship, depending how quickly or not he comes back.
So it could be that big. It could be that, major, depending on you know.
They would be my pick to go to the finals if he hadn't gotten injured. But
So
if he does come back in the second round for the start of it, then I think I'd still go with Milwaukee. But as of now, it's changed, which I'll talk about later.
Right.
But you're definitely right. I think he is that big.
He's
do you
a
think
natural scorer.
Yeah. Do you think he's not that important, or do you think they could still get to the finals without him coming back for the second round?
They could, but it'll be much harder.
Yeah. I
don't think it's, you know, impossible without him.
It's not impossible, but their chances, in my opinion, go way down.
Right, yeah, exactly.
But
I agree.
Yeah. If he's not back in time for at least like game 3 of the second round, assuming maybe they would have already won or split both of those games in the second round, but he's got to come back before game 4 of the second round.
Mm-hmm.
And they're optimistic that it's going to be more towards the 6-week mark, but even still, that's at least the first round and some of the second, I would think.
Right.
So this could be huge. Nikola Mirotic hasn't really been that great for them, I don't think. I don't remember seeing much of anything from him so far.
Great.
He's not Pelicans Mirotic by any means, or
so
Bulls
far.
Mirotic.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. So, you know, with him going down,
He was also injured, so he's coming off an injury.
Right.
And now he's injured again. That's tough.
That is tough.
He's missed a lot since All-Star break, and before that, I'm pretty sure.
They moved some pieces around to get Mirotic.
Yeah, but it was like, I don't remember. Trade deadline was so hectic. I don't
There's
remember.
so much going on.
Like, I could tell you who's on a team, but I can't tell you who was traded for who necessarily, because there was just so much
I forgot the other
happening.
day that Bobby Portis got traded to the Wizards.
Oh, really? Yeah, I forgot Otto Porter was on the Bulls until I went to the Hawks game where they played the Bulls.
You're like, wait a minute.
I was like, oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, he's here.
Yeah, and what a big pickup he was. He's going to be a cornerstone for their future. The Bulls have a bright future.
So. That's a big contract to take on, though.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm surprised they traded for that. That was like a $100 million contract. I'm pretty sure.
Crazy contract.
Yeah. Dang, I didn't even think about the contract.
I don't know. People went 3-and-D crazy last season.
Yeah, and then there was the thing in 2016 where you were allowed to, like, the cap spiked, where you could sign players for more money, and that's what happened. They gave a lot of guys big contracts who didn't deserve it, and now it's biting them in the ass.
Yeah.
So.
And it's biting, like, the person, like, the players in the ass because no
now
one
they
wants
have
to
to
take on their big contract.
That, and they're expected to live up to the expectations, and then they don't.
Show us you're worth $100 million.
Exactly. So yeah, that's really it for that. Timberwolves shut down Derrick Rose, Robert Covington, and Jeff Teague for the remainder of the seasons with various injuries. Rose is out indefinitely after surgery to remove bone chips in his elbow. Let me hear your thoughts on Derrick Rose. You're kind of starting to smirk a little bit. What you got?
Every morning I break my arm.
Are you talking about the SpongeBob scene?
Break my legs. My heart shattered. I can't remember the whole bit.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh my god, that's funny. See, I didn't believe in being injury prone until I've really seen it happen over and over again with certain guys. Like,
and NBA Storyteller did a great video on this and just how he's built and the way he
I think it was
plays.
the knees, right?
And also just his very jolty,
flailing in midair, like that kind
and
of
hard
stuff.
pivots, hard stops.
Yeah,
you know, not really bracing for impact.
That wears on your body. You know?
I mean, just look at the shot that was the big injury. Like, he just wiggled in the air for like 5 seconds.
Yeah,
and
then
came
down awkward. Not even awkwardly, just hard, I guess.
And the thing is, he hasn't really changed his play style all that much either.
Yeah, I mean, he's not as
still
athletic
takes
as he
those
once
ridiculously tough shots.
Yeah, he's a great finisher at the rim, but it's just the way he does it, his body's just not necessarily built for, I guess.
Right. He has that one monster leg that gets him his air.
Yeah. I was really happy for him, middle of the season when he scored 50 against Utah and was having a Sixth Man of the Year type season.
Even though I was clowning him a little bit, I'm rooting for this guy all the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone loves a comeback story, but like it just seems that he can't stay healthy. I mean, that's obvious. We've known that for years, but for him to have a successful future in his career, he's going to have to stay healthy, and if he's not, it's just going to continue to be what we're seeing now, where he has this has been the best season since the injury, right? Or one of the best seasons since the injury.
I think it's the
like
best
a comeback story, comeback season, whatever. Mm-hmm. But now I feel like all these injuries are just gonna make it not continue.
Do you
Like,
think,
I don't
do
know
you
if Derrick
think
Rose
that
will
might
ever be the same.
last peak?
This might be the last we ever see of good Derrick Rose. But it's just, I mean, if he comes back next year and has the same type of season, I take back what I just said. I mean, you don't put in the work that he's put in just to go back to what, like, the down seasons that he had since the injury. I think he's going to be fine, you know, have a similar type of six-man type of the year season, but he's going to continue to regress and maybe not be as good. But I think we obviously saw the last of prime Derrick Rose. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we saw the last of playoff number one option Derrick Rose, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
no, I think
He's their go-to option in clutch moments, though, because they know he delivers.
Yeah, I'm just worried about his health, like, a lot. Like, it happened.
Well,
like,
who isn't? At this
I know
point?
it's happened so much where he's made of glass almost. And like, I love Derrick Rose.
Same. He's just.
It's just I can't ignore the continuous injuries that continue to happen.
Right,
Like,
and some people aren't built for certain things. Not
Yeah.
that he's not built for basketball, because obviously he was.
I just think his genetics are bad. Like, his genes are bad, causing him to get injured
Yeah.
so much.
Because it's not like it's an unlucky streak. Obviously, there's a problem with him.
With
You know,
his body.
his body, his bone structure, whatever it may be. I haven't done that much.
I'm not a
extensive-
doctor, so yeah.
I'm not a doctor. I don't get exactly what it does. All I know is the way he lands sometimes, you know, has a
Yeah.
lot to do with, you know, I'm sure the grinding of, you know, cartilage, bone. It doesn't look safe.
That goes back to, like, his genetics and the way his bones are structured and his body is built. It just, if you're injury prone like this, like we've seen it with a couple guys throughout the history of the league, it just happens over and over again, and that's just how it is. It's something you got to deal with. But again, it can ruin your career. So
Right.
I hope Derrick Rose can stay healthy, but it just doesn't seem like he can. So, anyways, as far as Robert Covington and Jeff Teague are concerned, it's a precautionary thing. They're not gonna get a playoff spot, obviously.
Right.
So they're just taking the safe route and shutting
People
it down
see
for the
all these
season.
injuries happening, and they're just like, "Oh snap! I should probably pull my."
A lot of these are just like, we don't want to risk anything. You're done for the season, even though you could play tomorrow.
Yeah,
Something
exactly.
like
That's
that.
all it is.
Yeah.
Do you think the NBA will have to step in at some point? You know, about these resting.
We're going to talk about
rules?
rest later on,
Okay.
which we'll get to. Kelly Oubre Jr. is out for the rest of the season with a thumb injury, and what a pickup he was for Phoenix.
He's been yamming it on dudes.
As soon as he became a starter, he started like averaging really good numbers and playing well. Starter in Phoenix, so I think that was a steal for the Suns.
I think so as well. When I
mean,
saw
he's
that,
going
I
to be
was
part
just
of
like,
their
he's
young
not,
core going forward.
Yeah, I was like, he's not like useless or anything.
He's
like
good.
the kid has potential.
Yeah, he's good. I'm not going to call him by his nickname ever. Wave Poppy. That's
gross.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, fix that. Sorry.
That's a no from me. But he's doing well in Phoenix, and if they end up with the top 2 pick and get Zion or John Morant, I would prefer that they get John Morant because they need a point guard.
Right. I saw some people debating that on Twitter the other day, like 2 Suns fans who were just like, "No, we need John Morant." And it was like,
anybody could benefit from Zion, obviously, but
Right.
in the Phoenix situation where they need a star point guard or potential star point guard, they need John Morant, in my opinion. And if they get him paired with Booker, Ayton, and Oubre, I like that as a future young core. You know, there's a lot of teams that are starting to.
it's not going to be instant success.
Well, no, but it'll definitely help them for the future. That's for sure.
And John Morant has shown so much promise. The passes I've seen him make are just ridiculous.
He's got really good vision, and he's just a great scorer too. I mean, he kind of reminds me of Trae Young a little bit.
A little bit, yeah, just much more aggressive.
Different styles of play, but similar as far as like passing and vision go. That's where he reminds me.
It's
of Trae Young.
like instead of a shooting threat, he's more of a driving threat, kind of like
exactly.
a Westbrook.
Yeah. He's very like athletic too. Like he dunks, and that's what I was comparing to Trae was just mostly the passing. But as far as like athleticism, kind of Westbrook a little bit. And then shooting, he's just a good shooter too. He's a threat to score. I mean, he's the first.
Yeah, not discrediting his shooting.
He's the first.
Yeah, he's a really good shooter as well. But I'm just saying, it's more of an all around.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's the first NCAA player to average 20 and 10. I think that was the stat I saw for a season. So, whoever gets John Morant is going to be good. Obviously, the Hawks don't need him because they have their future star point
that
guard.
Would make sense.
It's just like Phoenix, Cleveland, the Knicks. They could all use that star future point guard. Some teams obviously it wouldn't make sense for them to draft him, like the Kings and the Hawks. I mean, they've got De'Aaron Fox and Trae Young, respectively.
Yeah.
So
But
they've got their guy.
The Suns would
greatly benefit.
Yeah,
yes.
greatly benefit.
Yes. All right, let's see what else we got on here. Speaking of the Suns, Jimmer Fredette signs a 2-year deal with the Suns.
Absolute legend.
I saw he had a rebound and went 0 for 1 yesterday, and I think it was 4 minutes of playtime. I expected him to play more because
I wish
they're not playing for
there was like a
anything.
free Dawkins video with like the lay was just like 1 for 4, got a rebound.
Right. Oh my God. Full highlights.
Like that Luka picture I showed you.
In 3 quarters and a blowout loss.
20 points in 3 quarters.
Blowout loss.
What?
And then he also does like low lights sometimes. I remember when Steph Curry went 0 for 12 last year, or maybe it was the year before. I can't remember exactly. But the very next game, he like broke the record for threes in a game. I think that was that must have been the 16-17 season. Yeah, and he just put like, if you guys know who Free Dawkins is, he's a guy who uploads single player highlight videos from every game. And so what he did, he put the thumbnail was just a brick wall in the background. and it showed Steph there, and it said 0 for 12 from 3 with an exclamation point. So he does those subtle little troll things sometimes, which are great. But it would have been funny to see Jimmer Fredette full highlights, 1 rebound.
Right. And it's like super hyped.
It's like a 40-second video. Oh,
gives him like a full intro, with him like walking in slow motion.
Yeah. All right, that's it for all that stuff. So let's get into the really juicy stuff. So,
gross.
Sorry. Yeah, that was bad. All right, let's talk about rest.
Since
Kyrie Irving did an interview. I guess it was pregame or postgame to something. I can't remember exactly. But they've been on a skid lately. I mean, the Celtics are so weird. Some days they're up, some days they're down. You never know. But so basically, he said they asked him, "Are you going to take some games off to prepare for the playoff, or are you going to take some games off in the regular season?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm definitely going to take some games off. There's no point putting emphasis on regular season games when we're trying to gear up for the playoffs." And I just want to know your thoughts on rest and load management as a whole, and specifically with Kyrie's situation.
Right.
Give me
honestly.
Give me Kyrie's first, and then your thoughts on it, on load management as a whole.
Okay, hot take on Kyrie, and then about resting as a whole.
Yeah.
Okay. With Kyrie, I feel like this isn't all his choice as much as he has power over it. I think Brad Stevens is like, let's see what they could do without Kyrie on the court, because we've seen what they're capable of when Kyrie isn't there.
Okay.
And so this might give a bit more insight. It's like, can we see the problem? Can we solve
I disagree with you on that a little bit, but I'll give you my side in a second.
Right. I know you've talked about, Kyrie being, you need that kind of clutch shooter, clutch performer, that kind of closer.
Yeah, and you just need him to be with his team and play those games as much as you can because he's missed games in the past, and you want to get the chemistry as high as it can be, so you need Kyrie out there with him. That's my point.
Right.
So anyway, go ahead.
No, you're fine. But as far as how I feel about it,
about load management as a whole?
Yeah, I'm on the fence about it.
I get it.
For someone like LeBron, it makes sense. He's getting old.
Yeah, he's going to be 35 next season, and they're not going to make the playoffs this year.
And there's so much weight on his shoulders to carry
as a 35-year-old.
Yeah.
Well, next year, because they were eliminated from playoff contention.
With his situation, I do think it's different. But as far as, young stars taking rest, blah, 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 if you're injured, if there is small things bothering you, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you're able to play...
If you're healthy, you should play.
If you're healthy, you should play.
I agree.
And that's what the fans want to see.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. I understand why.
Yes.
But at the same time, I'm just like, I want to see these guys play.
Exactly. Fans
I know I'll see them in the
money,
playoffs, but yeah, people pay money for tickets.
To go watch their favorite players play, and then they don't play. It's like, well, what the hell?
Right.
It sucks. So that's where, when you asked me earlier about if the NBA is going to do something about it, I think they should refund those tickets. Oof. Maybe that's not fair.
No,
but
it's
or
not.
They should at least fine the team if they're going to rest a player and they're healthy. They threatened to do that with Anthony Davis after the trade request. If the Pelicans were going to sit him down, they were going to fine like $100K a game. I think it was. I think that's what Windhorst said. I don't know. Or they should just completely outlaw it, because I know not outlaw it, but not allow it, because I know there's like all the old heads and players
Oh
from
my
past
goodness.
generations are rolling in their graves.
Get your grandpas off Twitter, guys.
Yeah, I know there's people that are like rolling in their graves.
More like the garbage.
No, listen though, like there's like grandpa on Twitter, right? No, but there's players from past generations who are just really upset. Like they would play through injuries no matter what, because they felt like they were letting their team down if they didn't play. And granted, look at them now. Their toes are all crinkled and their knees are
That goes
touching.
back to the Derrick Rose thing, and also NBA Storyteller, a video he did where he was talking about, Derrick Rose early in his career when he was just talking about, I got to listen to my body out there because he knows he's injury prone.
Yeah.
And Charles Barkley was like, that was stupid, man. And he talks about, it's like, I played with a broken, this is all exaggeration, I played with a broken ankle, blah, blah, blah. And he's just going off about it. He's like, yeah, that's the price it takes to win. I'm like, number one, you didn't win any championships. Number two,
your knees touch when you walk.
Yeah.
You're a hunchback. Like, it makes sense why they do it. Because you look at these guys from past.
Dude, they're messed up for life.
Yeah, they're...
But their mentality towards it is, I gave it my all. And that makes them...
It was worth it.
Yeah, that's their,
Right.
And if you want to do that to yourself, that's fine. But not everyone wants to be disformed in their, late 40s, and have trouble walking, have trouble... I don't know. Just
so I get it for health benefits, right? And I get it for wanting to keep your guys healthy for the playoffs. All of that makes sense. So I understand it from that perspective, but as far as the Kyrie thing is concerned, I already told you I think he should be out there for every game for the rest of the season.
It's different when it's
so
injuries.
That they can
if it's just like,
chemistry.
I gotta get rest.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah, right. I understand that. But then Kyrie missed the playoffs last year because he got injured in a regular season game.
Right.
So I also understand the Celtics not wanting to take the risk and wanting to make sure he's healthy for the start of the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So that makes complete sense to me. But I think if you're healthy, you should play. Or maybe they should just allow up to maybe 5 games of rest per year or something.
I don't know. A days missed of school thing, you only get 5.
I just can't stand it because especially if it's a national TV game or a big time matchup I'm looking forward to watching and somebody's not playing.
It'll be like primetime ABC and then it'll be like
because of
rest.
It's like, seriously? Nah. It should be enforced by the league that the star players, if healthy, must play for nationally televised games.
Yes.
I think that should at least be a thing that's required. And I also think you should play if you're healthy. I mean, most players will play most of the games, right? Unless they're injured anyways. But when it comes down to the closing stretch where seedings still aren't decided and there's like 9 games left right now for most teams.
Yeah.
And the seedings aren't anywhere near decided. You definitely want to play for seeding, so I think they should be out there. But at the same time, like I said, I get it for health reasons and whatnot. So it makes sense to me, but it's also really lame from a fan's perspective.
Yeah, and I feel the same way.
Yeah.
It's just, it's that part of you I get it, but boo.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see him play, damn it.
Right.
So
you just want to see these athletes, do their thing. And it's not like they're gone for the season, we'll see them in the playoffs, but...
Yeah, it's just, whatever. It's lame.
Yeah.
All right. You got anything else for that? Yeah, I think we hit it.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Paul George spoke to Kawhi Leonard and gave him advice about his upcoming free agency because Paul George was in a similar situation to Kawhi. He was traded to a team that he had played with for his whole career. He was traded from the team that he played with for his whole career to a new team that he didn't request to be traded to, and he had upcoming free agency that very offseason. Same situation as Kawhi, but obviously different teams. And Paul George spoke to him about, I guess, what he experienced and stuff. So this kind of is a signal to me that, well, we saw what Paul George did. Maybe Kawhi will do the same thing, where he stays with the franchise he was traded to because he enjoyed it so much. And from what I've seen, Kawhi likes it there. I mean, he said the city's great. Right. He said it's colder than he's used to, but the snow does look nice. He did say that. And he said that he loves the fans and the energy they bring every night. So everything to me has pointed so far that he likes being there.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't his choice, but maybe it turns out he doesn't talk much anyway, so he's not going to go out and tell everybody this. But I'm wondering if he told Paul George, I do like it here. Maybe I'll do what you did.
That'd be funny if Woj could never get the drop on any type of trade rumors with him just because he doesn't talk.
And the speculation is what I'm talking about right now, because when Paul George was asked about it, he was asked, have you spoken to Kawhi? He said yes, but he wouldn't reveal the advice. So that's what the speculation is
Okay.
well, what did he say to him?
Yeah.
And what did Kawhi say to Paul?
Yeah.
So we'll see. What do you think is most likely to happen?
I don't see why Kawhi would leave Toronto at
They've
this
got a
point.
great team there.
They have shown to be amazing.
Yeah.
Exceeded expectations.
Especially when he's playing.
Yeah, especially when he's playing. He leads them defensively and his mid-range game is
So good.
It's so good. He's on point.
Yeah.
When
he's a
he's
great
in a rhythm,
finisher,
he's
too.
so fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. And he has an outside shot, and he can finish at the rim. He does it all, man. I mean, he's not a great playmaker just because that's not his role, but
Right.
he's when he's out there, they're a championship team, I think.
Him and Tatum are in my group of basketball robots.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't consider Tatum a basketball robot. He does have the monotone voice and the
No, it's not even that.
and
It's
the
just
fundamental
the
play, kind of.
movements.
Yeah.
Are like it's just so fundamental. It's like spin left.
Yeah,
Like,
I see what you're saying.
it seems a bit robotic, but
I see what you're saying.
not that it's bad. Like I'm saying, like androids, like they destroy.
Right. Like they're not like flashy players, but they're really good, right?
Right.
Tatum, to me this year, this is a side note, he hasn't been as good as he was last year. I think that's just because of the team he's on and the different situation. No fault of his own. But, like, it's kind of hard to... You never know how good he would be where he's the first or second option on a different team. So that's unfair to say. But to me, I don't want to say he's regressed. I think he stayed the same. He's just... His contribution has decreased because of the role change, is all I'm trying to say.
Right.
So anyway, back to Kawhi. I think the most likely thing for him to happen is strongly consider staying in Toronto. But if he can go to a team like the Clippers, who already have like six man of the year, deep bench, good player, good solid players
teams
already.
are making their case, being like, give us your best free agent.
Right.
They're making their case to be like, come here,
Right,
come here.
they've got the cap. I'm talking about the Clippers. They've got the cap space. They've got the really solid
Oh, yeah,
starters.
I'm saying like
they've got
multiple
a deep
teams,
bench.
but yeah, Clippers are definitely one of those.
Nets
teams.
are one of those teams,
even without Tobias,
which we'll
Harris.
get to in a second. Yeah, I mean they're in the playoffs. I didn't really expect that.
Me neither.
They're a really good team, even without a star player.
Pat Bev's gonna be something else.
He's not going to score a lot. Like he's not going to be a
no,
huge
but
star,
he's going to affect. the game.
He's going to dog whoever he's guarding for sure. But anyway, so I think he should give a strong look at staying in Toronto. To me, they've got a really good chance to go to the finals, especially with that Brogdon injury and the Celtics sliding and the Pacers not having Oladipo, and the Sixers are probably going to be like the Sixers and the Bucks are going to be their biggest
It's
threats.
in
and
their
also
favor
Celtics.
right now.
Yeah, I mean, all those top four teams in the East, top five. I'm not including by top four. I mean Milwaukee, Toronto, Celtics, and Sixers. I'm not counting out Indiana because they play really hard even without Oladipo, and they're still a good team, but they're not going to win a first-round series, I don't think. Anyways, all those teams can give each other fits, right? But I would pick Toronto right now to win the East because of the Brogdon injury, the Celtics sliding, Pacers not having Oladipo.
Everything's been in their favor.
And then they're just a really good team. The Sixers though could give them trouble, but I just trust the Raptors more.
Sixers are hard to trust. They fluctuate.
They haven't quite figured out chemistry all the way, and the Brett Brown hasn't quite figured out the lineups, whereas Toronto has looked like a team all year.
Right,
and
solid.
Brett Brown has had like 3 different teams since the start of the year to now, it feels like. So no fault of his own. It's, the trades and whatnot that happened.
Adjustment period is.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see what happens in the playoffs, but right now the Raptors are my pick.
Yeah,
and I think he should give a strong look at staying there, as long as he's happy there,
Right.
and his family's happy. It all depends. I saw that he, this is kind of old news, but he bought a house there and not rented one, whatever that means to you, whatever that means to the fans.
Make that what you want.
Right. So we'll see. But he also did
Yeah.
He also did buy a house in like 3 hours away from Los Angeles, so I don't think that's anything. It's so far away from there.
Right. 3 hours away.
But
that's
speculation
not really,
happens.
It's not LA at all.
Right. So let's see here. I think that's all I had on that. Do you have anything else in the Kawhi PG talk? I think that's a good sign, if anything.
Yeah. And I thought they had beef after seeing that Kawhi, play where he bumped him and he gave him a
Kind of
face
smirked
like,
or whatever.
"Eh." And
I think that was just competitive nature or whatever.
I love seeing that though, man.
Yeah, it was funny, for sure. All right, we kind of already talked about who do you think is going to win the Eastern Conference? That's the next thing I have on here. So
my money's on the Raptors as well.
You got the Raptors also? If Brogdon is healthy for the second round, I would switch my pick to Milwaukee. That's because they've been a more solid team than the Raptors this year. But they're both like just as good as each other, I think, but I would give the slight edge to Milwaukee. So, but if Brogdon comes back in the second round, I'm going to switch my pick to Milwaukee, but right now, as it stands, I'd say Toronto. What do you think?
Yeah, if Brogdon can't come back in time, I do think the Bucks still, they have that chance. Like I said, don't count them out because they're still a solid all-around team. Injuries are plaguing them right now, but I think they can still get it done, and they've shown they can get it done. And Giannis, knows this is the time to push.
This is the year they have to advance.
Right.
To
they have
at least
to show,
the Eastern Conference Finals.
Their worth and put in that effort and go as far as they can, regardless of how many players
they've had a
down.
phenomenal year. They'll probably get to 60 wins. And I mean, like you said, this is the year they have to push. I mean, they haven't won a playoff series since some long time ago.
Right.
Not too long ago, but a while ago, and they're built this year to get to the finals, I think. But that Brogdon injury, like I keep going back to, I think is going to be the thing that, because he's such an important glue guy and good all-around player, that I think it hurts them a lot more than some people will realize.
Right.
But again, they're a deep team, so you never know. But I would say Raptors now because they're healthy and it looks like they're poised to be. There's a championship team in there, I think.
Most definitely.
Whether they can beat the Warriors or not is another story, but it could happen. Honestly, the Warriors have slid.
I've seen
what
the Warriors have kind of been sliding a little bit.
Chemistry doesn't seem to be the same as it's been in years past, and they've kind of had to restructure their offense.
This hasn't happened.
They've had to restructure their offense a little bit, also, because of Boogie and their bench getting weak, and Steph hasn't been like, he started off the year on an absolute tear, right? And he's still averaging like 28 a game, still a phenomenal player. Like he's still great, obviously, but he's had to take he's so unselfish. He's taken even farther steps back to make way for Boogie to get his touches and stuff. And I've said this on multiple episodes. I want to watch Curry be the guy because that's when he's at his peak and he's most fun to watch.
Yeah, that's prime Steph Curry is when you see him, go off. He's one man just wrecking machine.
But he still has those big games, even with all the he's had him this year with everybody playing. But it's a lot more often when he's the number one guy.
Yeah, exactly.
So in the playoffs, I'm sure he's gonna increase his aggressiveness. But still, I'd like to see it throughout the whole entire season. So, but yeah, I think anybody from the East has a legit shot at the Warriors, and it's not even a guarantee that the Warriors will get out of the Western Conference. We talked about that before also.
Yeah, just Warriors, this might be the year that they get
dethroned.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't bet on it, but
No.
I wouldn't be like, oh, the end of the world, you know? Like, obviously it'd be a big deal.
Twitter will be lit.
Yeah, it'd be a big deal, obviously, but
off.
I wouldn't have not seen it potentially happening. Because I've been saying for a while now, it's not a foregone conclusion that they're going to win a championship or even get out of the West because of how good all these teams have gotten.
As soon as they got Boogie, people were like, "Oh, it's over."
I knew it wasn't going to be like that big of a deal. Like, I knew they were still going to be the favorites to win a championship, obviously, and heavily so. That's how it started at the beginning of the year, anyway. And now it's kind of, we've seen how good these teams have gotten through player development, trades, free agents, new coaches, everything, where teams have just closed the gap significantly to be almost on Golden State's level, to where it wouldn't really surprise me all that much if they got beat.
And we've talked about this before. The game's they're catching up to the Golden State Warriors. They're catching up.
Like all the other teams?
Yeah, it's not that the Golden State Warriors are any worse. I just think teams are catching up.
They're closing the gap, like I said. Yeah. Exactly. So we'll see what happens. I would still pick them to win a championship, obviously, but I'm not going to be like, all that surprised, or like I'd be surprised if they lose. It depends on whoever they would lose to, but especially in the finals, I think any team, and even in the later rounds of the West, I think there's a chance they could get knocked off. So we'll see what happens. I mean, the Rockets gave them fits last year, so they're still a threat to them. The Nuggets, I mean.
Speaking of which, shout out James Harden. Just for his.
We're about to talk about that actually in a minute.
Okay, sorry, I didn't see that on the list.
I got you. Let's hit on the last thing here, or last few things. Last thing before we get to the MVP talk. All right, Kevin Durant to the Nets rumors are starting to swirl. He's getting a personal tour of Brooklyn from D'Angelo Russell for, I guess it's some show that Kevin Durant's about to be a producer of or start, because he's starting to get more involved in doing TV stuff. So this to me is something.
It is. It's not nothing. It's something.
It's something for sure. I wouldn't say it's everything, but it's something. Because
can we steal this bit legally?
Yeah, from the Jump. Shout out the Jump and Rachel Nichols. But get this. Okay, so the Nets have cap space, which we haven't talked about that much this year. Mm-hmm. They've got a young star,
D'Angelo Russell,
balling. Absolute. I love that guy. Comeback win against the Kings the other night, 27 in the fourth quarter.
I saw that. I was
unbelievable.
Like, oh my god, he's draining them.
He's so good, and they've got a pretty deep bench. I want to like a pretty.
Deeper than you'd think.
They remind me of the Clippers. They got a good bench, good quality starters, and the one thing that they have that
they've got Carroll,
and the one thing that the Nets have that the Clippers don't is a star player in D'Angelo Russell.
Exactly.
And they have the cap space, so they kind of remind me of each other. But I'd give the favor to the Nets in this case because they have that star player that would attract a Kevin Durant.
Right.
So
because these stars know it's so hard to do it alone. They've watched LeBron do it for years.
Yeah. So they're already set up with a team with a great young core and Dinwiddie, Jared Allen, Rodions Kurucs, D'Angelo Russell. There's a couple other names that are escaping my head right now. Actually, I'm going to pull up the Nets roster so I can just tell you how
okay.
how much they mean to me. I'm just kidding.
How much?
Yeah, I mean, you got DeMar Carroll, Ed Davis, Jared Allen. I'm not going to say Allen Crabbe because he's kind of very streaky. Joe Harris, that's the other guy I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
Really good player.
3-point champ.
Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, Karis LeVert, Shabazz Napier. They've just got a really good young team and solid young core and a star player that I really like. And so this to me, and they've got the cap space. So this is to me would definitely be an attractive destination for a free agent like Kevin Durant because
it makes a lot of sense.
If Kevin Durant goes to the Nets and they don't have to really,
I wouldn't even be mad at that. I honestly think my KD hate level would go down a good bit.
I would respect that is an absolute boss move, and I would respect the hell out of KD if he goes to the Nets because that elevates the Nets to a potential Eastern Conference Finals team and another team in the East that's going to be right up there with the rest of the top 4 or 5 this year. I say 4 or 5 meaning Pacers when they have Oladipo. So then you have 6 really good teams in the East. I mean, obviously we don't know how the rosters will look after this year, but if everything stays the same and Kevin Durant goes to the Nets, to me that puts the Nets right up there with them.
Oh yeah.
And I would absolutely love that because I think everybody would respect KD more because he wouldn't go to a huge market and he'd go to a team that would really be a good fit.
Brooklyn isn't a small market. But
you think about New York City, most people would think Knicks, and you think about Los Angeles, most people think Lakers.
The Knicks are straight trash. Right now, the New York team is the Nets.
It's the Nets, absolutely. Like organization, roster, everything is just leaps and bounds better than the Knicks. And you look at LA, and it's almost the same thing with the Clippers versus the Lakers. I mean, the management and organization is leaps and bounds better than the Lakers, in my opinion.
Do you think
and the roster as well?
You think like KD and Kyrie we're talking about Nick? They had the Knicks talk, and people have been talking about it a little bit, but they just finessed them, and they KD goes to Nets.
If KD goes to the Nets, I'd lose my mind. I had a dream that he signed with Milwaukee, because I know Milwaukee has cap space. No, hear me out. Don't facepalm. Hear me out. If they don't re-sign Chris Middleton and they have an opportunity to replace him with
stupid.
But if they can replace him with Kevin Durant, you're gonna do that because I know they have cap space.
Maybe if Kevin Durant isn't a total diva,
right? But I just had that dream where he was in Milwaukee. Like I had a dream where I was doing something and the Woj notification popped up. It's like Kevin Durant has agreed to a 5-year, $175 million deal with the Milwaukee Bucks or something like that. I can't remember.
How sick would it be if like there was a league expansion and like the Sonics came back
and he goes
like,
back?
Yeah,
there,
he goes back to the Sonics.
That he was originally drafted to.
That would be.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I don't see that happening though.
No. That was just like a what if.
A what if thing. Yeah. No, but if he goes to any of those teams in the East, I would respect him a lot more. Especially the Nets, because if he's going to go to any New York team, it's going to be the Nets. Because, like I just said, they're
if like
just leaps and bounds better
like
organization.
If we go back to this and he went to the Knicks,
I'm going to be really pissed off at him because you missed out on a wonderful opportunity to go play with the Nets. Because, like, for all the reasons we just said, they're great.
Anyway.
And Stephen A calls them the sister franchises, the Clippers and the Nets, and he said they've taken over their respective cities because they're better in just about every aspect from the main franchise.
Stephen Adams said that?
Not Stephen Adams, Stephen A. Smith. Did I say Stephen Adams?
You said Stephen Adams.
Oh, I meant to say Stephen A. Smith.
I was
Sorry.
like, damn, Stephen.
Stephen A. Smith said that. My bad.
No, you're good.
And I think most people agree with that who follow basketball in the NBA.
Oh,
so.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Clippers they're undoubtedly by the numbers better than the Lakers.
Just in organization and front office too. I mean, Jerry West is a phenomenal GM.
As much of a disaster as the Clippers have been before,
right?
They've kind of gotten it together.
Yeah, for sure. Didn't even mention Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's playing really well, and Doc Rivers. The coaching is far better on each of those teams too. I mean, Kenny Atkinson has done a phenomenal job with the Nets this year, and Doc Rivers has done an awesome job with the Clippers also.
People forgot very quickly how well Lob City era was, and just how close they were to, being something much bigger than.
They should have gone to the Western Conference Finals a few times, but they choked. I mean, I remember they choked against the Rockets once. There were injuries in the first round against the Trailblazers when they lost. I mean,
not that they didn't deserve to lose those games, because they did.
Just the injuries in the playoffs just ruined what could have been if they stayed healthy, and that's why people call the Clippers a cursed franchise. But
right,
it's funny how times have changed, because now I think that curse is gone, considering what they've become. So, let's see. Let's get to our updated picks for some awards here.
All right. Do you want to do like a 1, 2, 3 type of list for as far as MVP, Rookie of the Year? Like
sure.
A list or.
I don't know. To me, it's a two-man race for both awards, and this is the closest race for both awards that has ever been, in my opinion. So let's just start with MVP. We've got Giannis and James Harden as the two guys who are obviously one of those two are going to win it. Paul George.
Paul George slid. Will be an honorable mention.
Yeah, he's slid because the Thunder have slid. So.
Yeah.
All right. Who do you think is the number one? James Harden or Giannis?
It's tough.
It is tough.
It's very tough.
Both have had phenomenal
They're so
seasons.
different. The way they play is so different.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Sometimes Harden can give you that 61, but also he can
shoot you out of a game sometimes.
Yeah. You've mentioned that numerous times.
Mm-hmm.
With Giannis, there's a bit more consistency there.
Yeah, and he has a better team as far as like guys who know the role and coached. They're much better coached and stuff like that, but you can't punish a guy for having a good team.
Right.
So I don't think that's
just like you can't praise a guy for having a bad team, just for the MVP.
Yeah. But Harden's, to me, I have to tip my cap to Harden on this one. I think he's taken over number one. Just because
it's hard to argue, why he shouldn't be.
I mean, third seed in the West right now. He's carried them for so long. I mean, that unbelievable streak where he averaged 40 for an entire month.
Right. People forgot how bad they were at the start of the season.
Yeah.
It was in shambles.
And he just stepped up and dug him out of that hole. And just what he's done offensively this year is just unbelievable. And how he's led his team and the pick and roll with Capella and setting his guys up for open shots.
Right. Capella's another one of those key players like Brogdon for the Bucks.
Exactly.
Capella, as long as Capella stays
like that
healthy,
for the Rockets.
they're really dangerous.
And I give Houston a good chance to give anybody in the West a good series and
Most
probably get to the
definitely.
Western Conference Finals.
That'd be interesting if the Rockets knock off the Warriors and they get their revenge.
They almost and maybe should have done it last year. We've
Yeah,
talked about
exactly.
that
That's what I'm
before.
saying.
So
They were so close last year.
Mhm. So I think just because of what Harden has done offensively this year, averaging like 36, 37 points a
Something
game,
crazy.
and he's still an efficient scorer for the most part.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, you got Giannis, who has led his team to the best record in the NBA, has become a good playmaker, has, averaged 27 and 13 in
Right.
6. That's unbelievable.
Right. And he's like
And he's the best
Dominique,
player
where
on the
he's
team.
like the human highlight reel.
Right.
Like if you just watch like what we said earlier, Free Dawkins videos, like
Yeah.
just a single game highlight. It doesn't have to be one where he goes crazy. If you just
He's
to
just
watch
so
the way
dominant
he
and
plays,
he can't be
the amount of
stopped.
times he dunks it on someone's head
Yeah.
just casually.
Just unbelievable athleticism, and that's the problem with this award is only one guy can have it, and both of these guys have had such fantastic years. I wouldn't be mad if either of them win it. I mean, because Giannis
Would a
is
co-MVP piss you off?
a little bit. Giannis, but then again, not really, because I don't know who to pick. Because Giannis, historically, it's been best player on the best team has been the criteria for the award. But in the past, five or so years, it's changed to more about storyline, and I think James Harden has the better storyline in this case.
You think so?
In terms of having the load he's had to carry for a lot of the season to keep his team afloat, and
He managed his load on the court.
yeah, really, and just the unbelievable scoring and playmaking on offense has been unprecedented, really. So it's like a Kobe season, but with assists and playmaking.
Yeah.
So
With
I don't know.
unselfishness.
Yeah, well, he's kind of a ball hog at times, but still,
but-
that's the diff. Him and Giannis play such different styles. Giannis is very team oriented,
Right.
but still dominant. James Harden is very dominant and kind of self oriented, if that makes sense. So you can't go wrong.
What are
with
James Harden's percentages as far as how long he has the ball? Yeah, I kind of wanted you to look that up.
how long James Harden? Oh, his usage rate is through the roof.
Yeah,
I know that.
I know it's crazy. I just
I
wanted
thought
to
you
see
meant.
what the actual
I
percentage.
thought you meant
was.
shooting percentages. I don't know what the percentage.
Shooting
of time is.
percentages, I'm sure,
Just on the eye test, it looks like James Harden has the ball in his hands more than half of the time,
right, and then
easily. So
yeah, even if it doesn't say like 50% on the stat sheet, it does. You
It
can
does-
definitely tell it's all revolving around.
yeah.
him. And if he's not on the floor, Chris Paul takes
Mhm.
over, and it's a bit different.
Yeah, and the thing about Harden I like is he doesn't take games off unless he's actually hurt or sick.
Mhm.
He's adamant every year about playing every game if he can,
Right.
and so I like that. Not saying Giannis doesn't. I was just talking about when you referenced load management a second ago.
Mhm.
That's one thing I really like about James Harden.
How's the dad bod gonna outperform and out hustle these other
Right,
players?
right. But to me, you can't go wrong with either guy winning the award. I can see the argument for both. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if Giannis won it because of what he's done and leading his team to the best record in the NBA and putting up those monster numbers, and also Harden leading his team to the 3rd seed right now and putting up the numbers he's putting up. So
Yeah.
I'm just glad I'm not voting for this award.
Yeah,
because
me
I
too. I
have
feel
no
you.
idea who I would pick.
It's
I
rough.
think I would, if you twist my arm, I would have to go historically. Like if I had to vote and I was if I had a vote for the award, I would just go historically best player on the best team. But since I don't, and I'm not in that predicament like some of these other media members are, I would go James Harden because of
Yeah.
what he's done.
I'd have to go with Harden as well.
You think so?
As much as I want Giannis to win MVP, and as
Yeah.
much as it makes sense.
You'd have to force me to pick one if I had a vote, and if I had
Right.
to, I would pick Giannis just because of his history of the award and what player has won it, best player, best team. But then again, a part of me would really want to pick Harden, so I'd probably flip a coin if I'm being honest with you.
Just flip a coin.
That's what I would do, because that's
I don't blame you.
the point it's gotten to with this MVP race. So thank God I don't vote for it. We'll see what happens, or who wins it. I mean, but
Yeah.
the stupid thing is we won't find out until late June when they do the awards show.
Right, you forget about it for a while.
They should
and they're
announce
like,
it.
Wait
yeah,
a minute.
Exactly. They should announce it at the end of the regular season. Like, those 3 days between end of regular season and start of playoffs? That's when all the awards should be announced, in my opinion. Because they're all regular season awards. If you're going to wait to June to announce it, you should involve the playoffs
Yeah.
in as part of the awards. That's my opinion. And if you're not going to include playoffs in the criteria for the award, then announce it when the regular season ends.
Right.
So that's what I think. All right, let's get to the Rookie of the Year race. This is spicy.
It's quite spicy.
I've got a lot of things I want to say about this. I guess I'll start. Luka has been balling all year, right? He's very fundamentally sound, very skilled player. He kind of is like a Tim Duncan type player, where he's very fundamental, and he's also
very fundamental,
and he's
but
flashy
he's
definitely
a shot creator.
Yeah, and he's
you
a
don't
great,
think there's anything there, and then he comes up with a bucket. You're like, how did that happen?
He's a half decent defender. He's a very skilled, like he can get a shot off. He's very skilled offensively. He's very fundamental. He's got a killer step back. He's you know, I wouldn't say he's the most efficient scorer, but for a rookie, he's an efficient scorer for a rookie. I'll say that. And he's been balling all season, you know. And then you've got Trae Young on the other hand, who had a good start to the season and then kind of struggled for about a month, and then after that, people think he's just been doing what he's been doing since the All-Star break. Right. He's been doing this since like January, like the start of January, start of the new year, and like the second half of December, he was killing it. So there was just that rough patch, which makes Luka the favorite, you know?
Right. So, and that was the thing, right as Trae was going through his rough patch, Luka, as soon as he got into the league, was making big plays.
He was balling all year, you know, and that's why Luka's the favorite. So I agree, he's probably going to win the award, but people on Twitter want to act like it's not close whatsoever.
Right.
Which I think it's close. Trae Young has definitely made it a much closer race. I mean, earlier in the year, you could say it was a clear favorite, like a blowout that Luka was going to win it. But now Trae Young has really made it close to neck and neck, if you ask me.
People before weren't even talking about it. The fact that we're talking about it right now.
Yeah.
As much bias as we do have, you know.
Because we're Hawks fans and whatever, but I'm not biased to the point where I can't give credit where credit is due.
Right. Luka's an amazing player, and he's going to be a superstar.
Both of these guys are going to be superstars, you can tell. And I think the Rookie of the Year award is almost, I don't want to say meaningless. It's recognition for having a phenomenal rookie season, but it doesn't determine the rest of your career. Like, it's not an award that shows like how good or how not good you're going to be, because if you look back historically, there's cases for both. You see players who have turned out to be superstars who have won Rookie of the Year, and you've seen players who haven't won Rookie of the Year who turned out to be superstars as well. But then on the flip side, you see players who have won it who have turned out to be busts. I mean, you think of MCW, Michael Carter-Williams, phenomenal rookie season with the Sixers, fell off after that, never met potential. So you can see it both ways. And then Donovan Mitchell last year didn't win it, but you can see he's going to be a superstar.
Right.
You know, so in my opinion, it's an award that only means something for 1 year, and after that, it's kind of something that's on their resume, but it doesn't determine their future. Right. So I would be happy with I feel like this is a situation where the NBA has to step in and give Rookie of the Year. That's how I feel. But I know that's not going to happen.
And people are going to be mad as hell.
If you twist my arm, I'm going to say Luka.
Right.
But to me, the more fun player to watch is Trae Young, because he's got flash and flair to his game, and he's just exciting and fast out there on the court, and he's borderline elite offensively from his playmaking and his ability to shoot. Like, he's upped his percentages he has a better 3-point percentage than Luka, actually, even though it didn't look like it was going to be that way for a while.
Is that in total, or is that since an All-Star break?
In total for the season. Wow. I mean, they have pretty much identical field goal and 3-point percentages. Luka has the advantage in points and rebounds. Trae has the advantage in assists. But they're both.
And that's to be expected.
They've both been averaging like 23 or more since the All-Star break. I mean, both of these guys, you can tell, are going to be absolute superstars. But to me, like I said about the Tim Duncan thing, it reminds me of a Tim Duncan who is very fundamentally sound, very skilled player who's a superstar. And then it reminds me of Steve Nash, who was a very flashy player who was a superstar. Just two different styles of play, but both are superstars. And one is more fun to watch than the other. Does that make sense?
No, I understand.
I don't want anybody to get mad at me for saying that I like watching Trae more than Luka just because of the flashiness. But Luka's also got some flash to his game as well. I just think Trae has more, which is why I think he's more fun to watch. But I think Luka is the favorite to win Rookie of the Year, and he should win it, rightfully so. But I also wouldn't be mad if Trae won it either.
Right. Either way, I'm not going to be upset.
Right. I mean, I don't expect Trae to win it just because of how consistent Luka's been all year. But if Trey wins it, it would honestly almost surprise me because of how well Luka has been all year. But then again, I mean, it was only for a month that Trey struggled, which is only probably like 10, 12, 14 games, something like that. But still, that's a significant time period to struggle. But still, I mean, you can just tell both of these guys have it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've got that to their game. I mean, they're both clutch. They're both borderline elite players already.
Yeah. That's the crazy thing. This is another one of those draft classes we'll be like, wow, that was loaded.
Yeah, and this trade obviously worked out. Each team got the guy they wanted, and it's worked out, phenomenally in their favor.
And I think people are upset about that. They wanted one to succeed over the other.
And that's what
and
I
when
see
they
on
both
Twitter.
Work out, people kind of are like, well, dang it, I have nothing to argue about.
Yeah, I see Luka Twitter and Trey Twitter just bashing the hell out of each other, and
right, they just
and
go
it's just
at
like,
it.
Can we just acknowledge the fact that they're both great
Can
players?
we appreciate these great players while they're doing this? Can we
Exactly.
appreciate their games?
It just, some people want to make it or make it a fight, I guess you could say. Everything's competition, right? But they want to make it personal, or they want to make it like a problem where they can't acknowledge the fact that the other guy's doing well, and that goes for both sides. And I think most people, because you see how many replies there are to tweets about both players. There's like 100 or so replies per those tweets from the big media companies acknowledging one or the other, but then there's like tens of thousands of likes on both. So that shows me that there's a lot more people who are appreciative of both than there are haters on both, respectively.
Right.
So that makes me feel good, knowing that most people are knowledgeable.
Right, that have
They
some common
appreciate
sense
both.
and appreciate both players for what they
Exactly.
are and what they're doing for both of their teams, and creating something that's exciting for seasons to come.
Exactly, and people want to act like it's not close at all. I think I already said that, but that pisses me off.
yeah,
like, it's obvious that both guys are really good, and it's not close. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a close race.
It's definitely close. And Trey has made it close. Yeah. That's why.
I mean, Luka last night, triple-double in 3 quarters in a blowout win against the Warriors. Trey Young last night with a 32-point, 11-assist performance with the game winner over Jimmy Butler and Joel Embiid. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, both of these guys are destined for superstardom. And I don't know if they'll ever match up against each other in the finals one day, but how cool would that be? But it's just funny to see these conversations go from Trey's a bust to, oh, well, he's not as good as Luka, to, oh, well, he this and that. It's like, okay, so he outperforms your expectations, and then you got to continue to search for things to hate on once he outperforms the previous expectations. You know what I'm saying? And they do that for both guys.
Yeah, and those are the people you're not going to win an argument. You're not going to convince anybody.
Not only that, they're
anything.
just not worth arguing with.
Yeah, it's just like, what's the point? You're just saying something to get attention.
That's why I like people like us and Nathan and a lot of other people who can appreciate everybody and everything and have opinions on everything, but aren't impossible to argue with because they're not so focused on what their opinion is that they're not willing to listen to anybody else's or appreciate any other players. And those are the people that aren't worth arguing with, or you can't win an argument with, because they're just like
they're stubborn. They're not
exactly.
They won't give, and they're most of the times they just want to argue.
Yeah. But if you twist my arm, I'm picking Luka because of the success all season and how good he's been. But then again, I think Trey has made it a really close race, and I think both guys are deserving. But again, the problem with it is only one guy can win it unless it somehow turns out to be a tie. But if it's this close, which I think it is, and some people are going to insist that it's not, but that's just denial in my opinion. I think the NBA should really consider, nope, no votes. We're just going to give them co-rookies of the year. That's not fair, and that's not democratic or whatever, but I think it's kind of justified in this case. In my opinion. I could be wrong, but I think both guys deserve it. But if you twist my arm, I'd say Luka. What about you?
I'd say Trey.
Really?
I'd just go straight out and say Trey, just because of how he's performing. Granted, it's tough. Again, it's not like it's not even close as Trey, or it's not even close as Luka. It's close. But I got to give the edge to Trey as far as, his passing ability.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. It'd be one thing if it was just the points,
Yeah.
but he makes the whole team better.
Absolutely.
Luka does as well, but he does it because it's his job, and of course that's the point guard's purpose is to make the whole team better. But he does it to such a degree where it's undeniable just how
and he has
skillful he is.
They both have like magnetism where players and like their teammates enjoy playing with them
as
because
rookies.
They're so good. And the point guard position is the hardest position to play in the NBA. And that's not to discredit what Luka's done this season because he plays point sometimes. I mean, he's really a guard forward. He can play either position.
Yeah, he can be like a 2-guard.
You know, it's really hard to make. Like, there's a very strong case for both guys, and I get why you would say Trey. I mean, part of it for me is I think he's more fun to watch, like I said, because of the flashiness and stuff. But also Luka's fun to watch because of how just fundamentally sound he is, and I just prefer watching more flashy players as opposed to, fundamentals. That's just me, though. I mean, everybody has their opinions on this. I really don't. I'm glad I don't vote for this award again.
Yeah,
because I can't pick. I mean, if you twist my arm, I would, but I don't want to. I would pick Luka Young or Trey Doncic if I could.
Same.
Again, this is the closest 2 award races have been in a very long time.
Right, simultaneously. The fact that these races are both so close at the same time, it's pretty interesting.
It is interesting. But, it's just if Trey continues to put up like 20 plus 10 assist games for the rest of the season and Luka continues to do his thing, I don't know who to pick, man. Or if one of them kind of falls and the other one continues to play well.
Right. It might come down to that.
To the final like 9 or 10
games. Who?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, a lot of players are endorsing both guys. I saw Blake Griffin, Donovan Mitchell, and Kyle Kuzma all endorse Trey for Rookie of the Year last night.
I didn't see the Blake Griffin one. I saw the other ones, but I didn't see Blake.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
Blake Griffin said, like, how Kuzma said, "I second this" after Mitchell said
Did he say I third this?
Yeah, he said he put like the talking head emojis, like yelling. He said third. I don't know. I mean, both guys are definitely deserving of it, but I think I have to lean towards Luka just because he's been doing it all year. Right. Where Trey had, those 10 or 12 games or so where he kind of struggled a little bit and the shooting percentages weren't great, but credit again where credit is due for getting his percentages up and being phenomenal. I mean, again, both of these guys are borderline elite players already.
Yeah. Like
Trey Young might be a top 10 point guard next year. Like right now, he's already to me like a gimme him.
Yeah, right. He's one of those.
Like he's, and if you don't think so, I mean, honestly, I think you're just in denial and you don't watch him enough. Plain and simple. Because if you watch what this kid has done, he's unbelievable. Both of them are. And something like I would take Luka over a lot of small forwards or I would take Luka over a lot of guys that other players have on their teams. I mean, it's not just for Trey; it's for both guys. So I don't know. We'll see how the voters vote, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait.
Yeah, I think that's going to be it for today, though. You got anything else?
No, I think we beat that horse to death.
Yeah, so we'll see who wins the awards in June, but I'm just excited for the playoffs at this point. I'm excited for everything. I mean, I'm just excited for the future of the league with all these great young players.
Right.
All right, but that's going to do it for today, guys. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and comment, let us know what you think, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
All right, later.